To Ed's point, a few years ago, we were telling stories about farms and agriculture and how agriculture is coping with climate change. And a farmer from Maryland, fourth generation farmer, came here and he didn't do numbers. He talked about, and he didn't talk climate change at all, but he talked about how he had to dig new ditches and swales and drains to accommodate the way the rains have changed in the 4 generations that his family had owned the farm. That's a story. That works. So to succeed with this, you have to get real, right? You have to be relevant. You have to tell stories that matter, that connect, that are about things that people know, care about. You have to pick subjects that are relevant to them, right? And tell that story. We've got a lot of storytellers in the room. I'd like to introduce 4 of our students who've done that with us and ask them to come up for just a minute. Among the things that they've looked at and subjects has been water. And that's one of the areas of focus that we've had at Planet Forward over this last year, along with environmental justice. We've had a series on water. You can see it up on planetforward.org right now. But let me ask Sachi Mulkey, Katie Perkins, Carter Weinhofer, and Beverly Indefoyne to join me up on stage here. I'm going to pick up a mic, and you get to meet them a little bit. So come on over. And Sachi. All right. Sachi, why don't you come here, because I'm going to start with you. So, Sachi, tell people a little bit about yourself, where you're from.
Hi, I'm Sachi. I'm from Gainesville, Florida, but I'm currently a graduate student at UC Berkeley's Graduate School of Journalism.
And what is your interest in this topic, and what are some of the stories you've done for Planet Forward?
I'm really interested in oceans in general and how they're such an important resource, but they're really complex and challenging to regulate. And the story that I wrote for Planet Forward
Which is a finalist.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It's about the local crab fishing community in San Francisco and how the fishers, regulators, and conservationists are all vying for different ways to sustainably use the oceans as a resource and protect the endangered whale species that pass through their
And
waters.
what is the audience you were trying to reach? When you were writing the story, who did you want to see this?
Probably regulators, actually. And I also wanted the fishers to feel heard.
That's really interesting. Okay, let me come down. Katie, tell everybody about yourself.
Hi, my name is Katie Perkins. I'm from Texas Tech University. I talk about my stories.
Yeah.
Okay, so my story. Oh, that's Carter. Okay, there
That's
we go.
okay.
My story on the screen is about eating invasive species as a way to manage their populations. And so in this instance, I chose feral pig, which is a huge, huge issue in Texas for sure. And I'm a born and raised Texan, very proud of that. And so a lot of my stories all revolve around what is happening in my local community and specifically in Lubbock, because that's where I am right now. And how do I tell these stories in our local community and what we were talking about earlier about how is this right in front of our face?
All right, so how did you do that? And did you have a trusted source for your community?
So, and this one in my water story, I talked about a corn maze that's been operating for 21 years in Lubbock. And if you don't know about Lubbock, it's very dry, it's very dusty, it's very flat, but it's a huge agricultural hub. And so, if you're familiar with corn, corn is very thirsty. And so they've been growing this corn maze for 20 years. And this year, this past winter, or the winter of 2021, we got 1/10 of an inch of rain the entire winter.
1/10 of an inch.
1/10 of an inch of rain. And so corn can't grow in 1/10 of an inch of rain. So what Eric Simpson, this family farmer, born and raised in Lubbock as well, he changed the whole thing. And so he planted a cover crop maize, and it was sorghum and sunflower and pearl millet and all of these different things that are drought tolerant, that increase biodiversity and attract pollinators. And it was lovely. It was fantastic. And he's been in the community for 20 years. And so you see that these people that have been going to this corn maze and this tradition, this fall tradition, everyone knows it and loves it. It's right in front of their face that it's changed.
I love this. You told the story through a corn maze, right? That makes it real for people. It's not, I'm not going to beat you over the head with a number. You're not wagging your finger. It's like something that everybody can relate to. Mm-hmm. It's brilliant. So check out the story if you haven't seen it. All right, Carter, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell folks about you.
So my name is Carter Weinhofer. I'm originally from a small town in Pennsylvania, but right now I attend Eckerd College in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Shout out from Eckerd
Yes.
College. You can do that. It's okay. Okay. And your major is?
I'm double majoring environmental studies and Spanish and minoring in journalism.
That's awesome. So you can learn and write and
Yes.
report in both languages. Water, what was your water story?
So this featured story was one I just wrote. It's my most recent one, talking about living shorelines in the Tampa Bay region. So this focuses on oyster reef balls. This is a project run through an organization called Tampa Bay Watch.
So when you think about what Ed was talking about just a moment ago, and trusted sources and telling a story that people can relate to, how did you do that in what you were doing?
So I think what I've really tried to focus on with my stories is, yes, the experts are very important. That's a great source to use, but you need a relatable source as well for the people to relate to. So the great thing about the Oyster Reef Ball Project is that it's all driven by volunteers. So it's really important to get those voices that are on the ground doing this work and propelling organizations like this.
Great. Let me move down here to Beverly. Hi, Beverly.
Hi, Frank.
I have to do a shout out even before Beverly speaks, because Beverly has been associated with us since last summer, but I'll let you tell the rest of that story.
Thank you very much. I'm Beverly Defoyne from Cameroon, a multimedia journalist and the founder of an environmental association called Eco Game Changers, and we're working to localize climate action in Cameroon. I'm also a Mandela Washington Fellow, and that's how I came here last summer, and I'm currently an Obama leader and also pursuing a master's in global affairs with concentration in sustainable development at the University of Notre Dame in Indiana.
Beverly, so some of you may have heard of this, but yeah, it's like, you know, it's okay. Don't feel bad that you're like 29 and you haven't, done everything yet. We met Beverly through the program that was started during President Obama's presidency. It's called the Young African Leadership Initiative, and it brings young African leaders from 25 to 35 to the United States to spend, how many, was it 6
6 weeks.
6 weeks altogether. Several weeks at a university, and then several weeks within an organization as a fellow, and she was a Planet Forward fellow this summer. Talk very quickly about some of the stories you did.
Yeah, I've done a couple stories, one of which is a story of a young girl in Zambia who invented a solar water filter, water purifier, powered by solar energy, and that came as a response to a cholera outbreak in her community, and she did that at the age of 12. And that is...
The age of 12.
12. She invented the solar
What
water
are you
filter.
waiting for?
She invented the solar water filter at the age of 12, and that for me was really compelling because of the water scarcity and gender issues that we have in Africa, where we have women in sub-Saharan Africa spending more than 40 billion hours a year fetching water. So any solution that brings them closer to access to water, clean water, is really extraordinary for me.
What do you want to do professionally when you're done with your studies?
Professionally, I want to be able to move around the globe, get global experiences to be able to lead local solutions in Cameroon.
What do you want to do professionally?
I would love to go into environmental communication. I don't have my name tag on, but I do have a little green dot on my name tag. So I am open to work. Environmental communication, for sure.
Okay. How about you?
I want to be an environmental visual journalist. I want to tell stories that make people feel something and make them want to get on their feet and do something.
What do you want them to feel?
Everything. Happy, sad, angry, upset, optimism.
Are you hopeful?
I'm hopeful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How about you? What do you want to do when you're done with this?
I'm also interested in science journalism and visual ways of telling those
And
stories.
science journalism, what does that mean to you?
Science journalism is being that bridge, I guess, between academia and the public and making sure everything's accessible and digestible.
Accessible and digestible. How about a real round of applause for these amazing people? Thank you all very much. So I hope you're getting ideas, right? If you're a student and thinking about how you can communicate, or if you're a professor and thinking about how you can connect and teach about how we tell these stories, how we connect, whether it's a maze, something as simple as that. I remember when I first was a reporter in London, and I was there, and this is a long time ago, and inflation was raging, and I went to the supermarket to buy mayonnaise, and mayonnaise was like $8 or some crazy thing like this. And part of the story we were trying to tell was the exchange rate. And I ended up doing a story about mayonnaise because it's something that people understand. So thinking about those things, some of them are really weird or little,